Hi, Limit Break Overdrive with a video about Path of Exile 3.17 expansion, Siege of the Atlas. We just got the release date as well as the announcement reveal date, which is going to be January 27th and February 4th for the release. So I thought it would be a nice timing to make a video about what I would want as changes for 3.17. Starting with Scourge, we learned not too long ago that Scourge was not going core, and I'm okay with that. I like the easy 6 links and the mythic orb, but other than that, I mean, it was just okay in my opinion. League mechanic itself was smooth, but rewards were mostly non-existent. So, I mean, I would have been fine with it going core, but I don't feel like it would have added much to the game, so I'd rather it not being core and that next league mechanics go core if they're better. Alright, first thing I want to talk about, and these things are not in any particular order, but is the Empower, Enlightened, and Enhanced drop rates. I'd like to see this drop rate increased. I'm an SSF player, so getting these gems is quite hard, even more so getting them to level 4. Last league I had only one Empower, and I know others that play way more than I do, and they didn't get that many gems either, like one Enlightened or things like that. So especially for the amount of time played, that's not much. I know the game is balanced around Trade League, but I still feel the drop rate is a little bit too low. And then Harvest, Atlas, passives, I would like these to be changed slightly. I don't like how Harvest is right now, as I think it's too strong for crafting. There's always a point where you just run a work hamlet, farm Harvest only, be it just to be able to spam targeted reforges or get the reforge more likely crafts or div cards, anyway, anything. It's just, I don't like how harder crafting methods are always inferior. What I suggest, and I'm no dev, so could be total bullshit, but what I suggest is to remove Harvest passives from hamlets and put them back elsewhere, like in the Uncharted realm, so it's affecting every single region equally. So this way you already need to have a certain level of power to unlock them, meaning you need to beat the special Maven invitation fights. So that's a way every region could be affected by Harvest passives, so you could have more freedom in running all sorts of content while also getting more chances to get Harvest. I never dropped one single special Maven invitation fight during Scourge League, and by special invitation I mean the Form, the Feared. I mean, I witnessed every single Breach Lords, most Shaper and Elder Guardians. I even allocated 10 passive points for the Atlas in all 4 regions. I'm not sure if this is required, but I did. I kept mapping after that. I raided Breach Lords, I raided Shaper, Elder Guardians, and nothing. I mean, could we get increased drop rate for these invitations, or at least the first time the Maven has witnessed every single bosses, like for Breach Lords, could we get one drop, like a short drop, so we could at least beat them once and unlock the Uncharted realm points? I mean, kind of like standard invitation work for 10-way fights. I mean, I would like that. I think it would be good for the game. And next thing on my list is something I kind of want, and I've been wanting for a long time, is a melee buff. That's something I want every single league, basically, because I feel the difference in power between melee and spells is too high, or at least the amount of investment needed to get that power. The example I always give is the +1 skill level. You can kill Hillock, you get into town and you get a +1 chaos spell, and that can carry you to maps. You get that at level 2. I mean, you can't buy a weapon at level 2 for a melee skill and get to maps with it. That's impossible. This has to do with how spell skill or damage. Like, you gain 1 gem level and it increases your power by like 10 or 12% more, maybe more. I'm not sure about the numbers, but melee skills, they scale mostly with weapon. I mean, you get some flat damage, but it's nowhere near as high as spells. So unless your weapon is bunkers, then damage is not really that good. My take would be to adding or increase flat damage on melee gems, because as I said, some of them already have. However, I don't know how this would affect the game, because with a lot of investment, you can clear all content with most skills. I mean, Mathil, for example, manages to do that every single league with almost any skills, so it's just the difference between how much investment you need to get a certain level of power that I feel is not good. So TLDR, make melee and spells more on par. Sticking with melee, new melee skills perhaps. I feel like we get mostly spells when we get new skills every league, with very few melee skills. Like Bone Shatter, for example, that was a really nice addition. I love that skill. It's a good idea. You get more damage, but you hit yourself, so you gotta like invest into defense. I mean, I like that, and you get a free melee splash, I guess. So these kind of skills I like. So more melee skills, I mean, would be really good. The next two things on my list are mostly quality of life things. I'd like to make it so your rage stacks do not expire when changing area. Like, it's really annoying during the campaign or while mapping, like especially when you go back to vendor or get flash charges. You kinda have to use Hydrosphere with Chain Hook and Rage support to stack on Rage before starting the map. And it's just quality of life. I mean, I get we can't always get max Rage stacks, because you might as well ditch Rage and just give attack speed and damage. The mechanic's fine, like the more you hit, the more you fight, the more attack speed, damage, and movement speed you get. You build them up as you fight, that's totally fine. But instead of losing every single stack, could we make it so they slowly expire like normal when you're not attacking monsters or a boss? Like, I go to my hideout, I vendor shit, I go back into maps. With the time it took me, maybe I've lost like 25 stacks, but not every single one of them. I think that could be nice. And sticking with the quality of life thing, why can't we log the fuck in straight into the hideout when we launch the game? That's been bothering me for ages. And I've got a log of macro set up not to log out, just to get into my hideout as quick as possible. Like, I get into the game and I press F5, straight to my hideout. The less I'm in town, the better. I mean, towns are laggy sometimes, and I want to go into my hideout anyway, so why add a step? I don't like that. And this is especially true in 3.17, since Lily will be selling gems in our hideout, so we don't really have any reason to go to town. Seeing other people's MTXs, so we buy some. I mean, some people say that, but maybe not. I'm not the guy that would buy MTXs for that, but especially in SSF, I can't party, I can't do anything, so yeah, log into hideout, please, GGG. Next on the list is concerning challenges. I mean, I'd like fewer challenges that rely on RNG only. Again, it's more an SSF problem, but that still affects trade. During Scourge League, for example, I stopped playing when I had 26 challenges. But if I were to migrate to trade, or if I were a trade player, I would have 31 challenges. Like, I could migrate and get 5 more challenges in 30 minutes, perhaps. Just because I was unlucky with the drops like the Sacred Orb or my logbooks. I had logbooks, but none of them had a boss. So, another challenge I lack. I mean, some RNG challenges are fine, like the one with Val Orbs, like volleying gems, volleying for quality, for levels. I mean, you have a certain control over that. Like the logbook thing I just talked about, I could have just went to a Lyrar thing and farmed Expedition, and I would probably eventually got it, but I got bored before. But I feel this league, there were so many challenges that relied on RNG. I mean, some is fine, but I think it's like almost 10 challenges, like the Uber emblems, they barely drop, Sacred Orb, the logbook with a boss, the corruption thing, and so on. I know the game is balanced around trade again, but it feels like too many challenges that rely on RNG. And yes, I know challenges are optional, but for those that like it, I mean, more challenging things and less RNG things would be welcome. Last but not least, more feedback during the league. I mean, I want to end on this note. I feel GGG abandoned Scourge League. The league needed tweaks, fixes, but like any other league, wasn't a big deal. But then at some point they stopped updating and improving the league, I feel. Not a lot of communication with the players either. I like the podcast during Expedition League, so maybe we could return to this. If it's not too much for Chris, I mean, he owns a freaking company. I don't know what it's like, it's probably a lot of work. And these podcasts are probably a lot of work too and a lot of pressure. So if it's not too much work, that could be a good thing. Or at least be more transparent. Past leagues communication was awesome, I feel. GG was always good at communicating with the player base, and they admit when they make a mistake and they want to fix their mistakes. But this league it was different. I don't know what happened, but I want good old GGG to come back because I love their game. The game is awesome, and I'm looking forward to the next expansion. So I wanted to end on this note, in case somebody at GGG watches that. Just slightly more communication and keeping the good work, cause pumping content every 3 months, that's not an easy task. So, and thanks everybody for watching. I hope it wasn't too boring, and let me know in the comment what you want the most for the next league for 3.17. Do you disagree with what I said? You agree with what I said? Let me know in the comments, and again, thanks for watching. Have a good day.